Here is a basic fact that has always been true, but forgotten in the West. Both of the sexes have a loss of vital tissue related to sex and procreation. In the female, this is her monthly period. At that time she loses a quantity of blood and vital tissue. It is because of this loss that at the time of the period the female undergoes a psychological change which is well known, and today in the West it is called PMS, or premenstrual syndrome. It is well established in our modern culture that the female experiences various negative states at this time monthly. The phenomena includes irritability, critical moods, depression, moodiness, tiredness, lack of concentration, impatience, withdrawal, and more. What is important for Westerners to realize is that for a male, an ejection of sexual fluid brings him his period and his own premenstrual syndrome. Any orgasm in the male brings the exact same psychological consequences as the period in the female: irritability, critical moods, depression, moodiness, tiredness, lack of concentration, impatience, withdrawal, and more. He has less to give to mate and children and tends to withdraw for a while. In immediate terms, every female who has had intercourse has witnessed a noticeable change in mood, lack of interest, and marked withdrawal following the male discharge. It happens right away. He becomes a different man. The glint is now gone from his eye. He turns away from her in the bed. A moment ago he was passionate and extremely interested, willing to do much for her. Now he seems not to care at all, or is even repulsed by sex and by her. An actual feeling of disgust arises in man for sex and woman immediately after orgasm generally. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to comprehend why this takes place. The man has ejected something from his body that had a lot to do with his former mood, and now you see an immediate effect. As with the female, the effect on the male, physically and psychologically, extends well beyond the first hour after the loss. It extends at least 24 hours in the male after he loses pearls, and it is better at this time if he withdraws. In fact, most men do indeed withdraw from constructive social intercourse for some time after orgasm. The smart ones simply slink away and don't even deal with their families for at least a day. The ones who stay around in the family or social setting for the first 24 hours after intercourse will show irritability and less patience. Check it out, all you couples. Most domestic fights occur within 24 hours of the man's orgasm. This is confusing to women. It is especially more true if the man is running low in the first place. If a man has orgasms less frequently, his store of Shakti and pearls is much higher, so these effects are mitigated. Some effect will be noticeable after even one orgasm in a 1-month period. But for men who are wanton with orgasms, his hidden PMS syndrome is already running chronic and deep, and any discharge affects him more because he is already overdrawn at the bank. Now consider that the female gets hit with this only once monthly. She experiences this loss only once every 28 days. It is dictated by nature once a month, but no more. But consider the average Western male, most of whom are sex addicts. He chooses to have many periods with loss of vital tissue throughout the month. Ignorant modern sexologists have even encouraged him in these wanton orgasms, stating that to have less than a prescribed number is somehow abnormal. So what we have in the West, and in most places of the world, is most of the men with permanent premenstrual syndrome. Qualities of nobility, patience, magnanimity, energy, and strength accrue in men who conserve their Shakti. But now such men as these are rare. The standard for men's behavior has dropped lower and lower over the centuries. Women are accustomed to men on premenstrual syndrome because the men are almost always in this state. Because men are chronically on premenstrual syndrome, it is difficult to perceive the contrast between a psychological low or high. Men are always at a low. For this reason, women have actually become psychologically superior to men. In modern Western society, women and their premenstrual syndrome have a big reputation. The real reason she gets criticized for this is her normally higher psychological state. The change at period time is a noticeable difference. Men, on the other hand, are always at a uniformly low psychological state. So they don't appear to have any big changes of state. There is not the benefit of contrast as for females. Men are always on premenstrual syndrome and trying in various ways, usually with distractions or drugs, to deal with it. This is the truth, and the world can receive no benefit until men figure it out.